I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up, my guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out the Geelang Lightning 120X. It has several different receiver options: the AC900 here, FlySky, DSMX, XM+, TBS, and PNP, which is no RX. And let's open up the box. This is the quad. Pretty nice looking quad. We're going to run it on 3 and 4S today. It's around $109 for this quad. I like the extra details that they put on here. It's kind of cool. It's different looking. Around a 2.5 millimeter bottom plate is fairly standard for a carbon unibody at this size. The wheelbase is 120 millimeters. And they also used a rubber band on the bottom, which I usually prefer a strap, but this will accommodate something up to about a 550 battery. You also have a 200 milliwatt VTX with LEDs across the top plate, which are also rainbow, which is kind of cool, and they are programmable inside Betaflight. We also have an SI F4 flight controller on here. That's a tiny little 20x20 stack. And we have 13 amp ESCs, a BL Heli, AC900 just above the flight controller, and we have a Runcam Nano 2 with plenty of TPU protection. It's kind of a cool looking top mount. I like this with a little fin on top. And in the back here we have the dipole with its own mount and the receiver antenna next to the dipole. We have XT30 on the bottom right here, and we also have what looks to be like some black motor tape on here, just tidying everything up. We also have HQ 3-inch 75 millimeter props with 2 bolts on top holding that prop down, and we have 1204 5000 kV motors from Geelang. They look pretty nice. Really nice finish on those. And we also have extra colors inside the box for your TPU mounts. Those extra props which come along with it, which is nice. Some extra, those are 3x2s I believe, and a screwdriver. We have an Allen wrench there and an extra rubber band, and all of your manuals for your 120X, including how to bind it up, set it up in various different radios. Full color printout looks actually pretty decent. Now let's go ahead and put it on the scale, see what the dry weight is, and that looks like that's weighing in right around 63 grams with the battery. 120 grams total takeoff weight. That's the 450. And now let's go ahead and put the largest size battery I put on here is a 650. That's 138 grams. That's not too bad actually for a little 3-inch quad. Let's go ahead and put it up in the air and let's do some flying, you guys. Time for the FPV flight test. Now I was surprised by this one because this quad is not a very well-known quad, but first battery that I put it up on with a 3S battery, I had wobble, and the guys heard it right at the field, and they said, man, that thing needs a tune. It sounds terrible. And yeah, it did. So now what you're looking at is the tuned 3 and 4S tune that I'm going to put down in the description link down below. So if you bought this one and it's tuned terrible, the CLI dump will be down bottom, and you can pull my PIDS out of there and put it in your Lightning 120X. So I think that'll help you guys out, hopefully. But man, this little guy is fast. And let's talk about the flight characteristic of this quad. Now, this is a little micro brushless with, the 1204 series motors they're more of the most recent updated style power system motors that we're using on 3-inch micro brushless these days. And look at that power loop, plenty of power zipping back above those trees. And I honestly do like the 1204 motor series a little bit more than I like the 1106 motors. They just seem to be a little bit more efficient. They have a nice low end bottom for those power loops. So the power is there for them, and they don't suck up the battery quite as bad. So they just seem to give us a little bit longer flight time, which is awesome. I don't think that the 450 size battery that they recommend is going to be good for anybody that's doing hardcore freestyle. If you're a hardcore freestyle guy, you're going to want to put a 550 or a 650 on there, honestly. But now that it's tuned, she's flying on rails. And again, my buddy Tom was out there with his gliders, and he's got this little sort of Hobby King, I believe it was a Hobby King glider here. It's a little tiny one, and it was really hard to see, but the Runcam Nano 2 is a nice camera. You can really still spot that plane and keep a track on it. But this little plane is really, really fast, so it's super hard to keep up with. I got a fresh pack on here right now, and I'm running 4S. And they recommend 3S on this quad, so you know you want to fly 4S on this quad with a 13 amp ESC at your own risk. You want to be careful there, but it rips on 4S, so if you want to take that chance, it really does rip on 4S. But if you're just starting, start out with 3S and it should be fine. Now low back down to the ground. Let's see if I can whip around this tree without a lot of float. Almost lost control right there. But plenty of control left and right on the yaw axis going around things. It's fairly locked in now. We had a lot of vibes and flutter when I first plugged it in, but after about, I guess, 3 tuning sessions, you know, starting and stopping back on the ground, I had it tuned. And the numbers were really, really high. They were up in the 80s and 90s for the P and the D settings. Just playing around with this quad. It really feels like a big 5-inch quad. That's what's kind of cool about some of these ultra light 3-inch quads. If you've never flown a micro brushless, you gotta try one. $100 entry level is not bad. If you already got your radio, add one of these to your fleet. And again, I think this quad, like, it needs a little more attention in our community because it really does rip, and I had a lot of fun with it. I just think it's one of those quads that's not really talked about that much. Now, one other thing I'm going to suggest to you guys, you can see in the video right here, there's some horizontal lines, and you can get rid of those by moving the yellow wire that's coming off the VTX. If it's near the power source on the quad, then you're going to get some feedback, and it also could be getting feedback from your receiver antenna that's right next to the dipole. So if you move that somewhere else, maybe put a zip tie on the arm. I'm going to make that suggestion. If you have these lines like I do, and you already have this quad, just move the yellow wire on the VTX away from a power source, and also move that receiver wire away from the dipole. But man, she rips. She really, really rips across the field so fast. And I gotta tell you guys that Geelang is one of those companies that they're not quite like Eachine and the others. Geelang is putting a lot of extra effort into making their quads completely original and really putting a lot of thought into the frame design, the motor system, and the power system. Even though they sent it to me without a tune on here, I've had other companies like Diatone send me quads that were, you know, prototypes that weren't quite team tested and tuned yet, but I don't mind tuning quads. Micro brushless tend to be quite a bit harder to tune than the 5-inch counterpart because they're so much smaller airframe with a ton of power. When you put a ton of power on a small airframe, it really is kind of hard to tune. And check out this stall right here. Sort of dead man stall right there, back down to the ground. Pulling out at the last second, man. So by now I'm really, really feeling the performance of this quad. I say the performance of this quad, especially on 4S, it's definitely like 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. I loved it. When I put it down, I was happy with this quad. And if this quad was one of the ones that I bought in my own fleet, I would be happy with my purchase. Especially for the price around $109. It's not the end of the day, and it flies like something that cost $180, $190, which some of them do, a lot of them do for this size quad. So I think it's a good quad. But let's go ahead now and let's set it down and let's go back into the studio. We'll talk about some final thoughts. I'm super happy with this quad, and so I'm gonna say right on the bench here. Let's get back to it. I'm gonna say definitely worth looking at, especially if you like this color scheme. I think the frame looks cool. I think it's nice that they use these 3-inch, the 3x2 props. The LEDs on the top are different. It's a little bit nicer layout than what I've seen some other companies do recently. It does look original, which is cool. I'll just plug in this battery and show you guys the LEDs so you didn't get to see those close up. But look at that. They go back and forth, sort of a rainbow pattern. It's kind of cool. And again, it's these little attention to detail that you don't see a lot in a lot of other quads out there. So I like it. It's fairly durable. 2.5 millimeter is good. It's accessible fairly quickly. I don't like the back part right there. The dipole could be moved away from the antenna. And the rubber band, one drawback, I think it should have a strap on there. But it's durable. Now it flies good with the CLI dump down below. I'll give that to you guys for the community in case you bought one and it flies like a hog. But overall, I'm happy with it. Performance, durability, original design, and a good price. So I think it has a little bit of everything here for this particular quad. And I love the power system. The 1204 motors are nice. So thumbs up for sure on this one. This is one that you can buy and fly and enjoy it. But you'll check out the link down below. The CLI link is down there for you guys. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.